a little bit more. Okay, so how did you meet Nico?
Okay, so the story is even more specific. So when Nico premiered Finding Sophia, his movie in Argentina, I was working at the festival. And I was actually in charge of hosting filmmakers. So we did meet, but we didn't become friends because he was nervous about premiering his movie. And
I don't remember him at all, which makes me feel so sad because we became best friends.
You were nervous.
No, because that means I was doing my job properly because it was, I wasn't trying to attract attention. I was trying to make sure he was comfortable.
I was trying to attract attention, so I don't know what happened.
That's what you do as a filmmaker at a festival. You attract attention. Yeah.
Are you a filmmaker as well?
I am. I'm a screenwriter. I've directed a couple of things, but I consider myself more of a word person than a visual person. I'm very comfortable with words. So what I like doing the most is actually working with directors, helping them channel their vision.
Cool. And you're not in the US, you're in Argentina?
I'm currently in Argentina, being an Argentine. As you may be aware, it's a very strange moment in the world, and we're all remote in one way or another. So I figured it was time to come back, even though I still work for the US mostly.
Yeah.
Because he was in LA a minute ago.
Literally a minute ago.
You're not missing much. LA is LA.
It's not the best of times.
The goal, I guess, is to come and go and be more of a global citizen, as long as
a global elite.
More, not that much. I'm not the 1%. As long as I don't have to pay more than one rent.
Yes.
LA?
Okay.
Sorry, what? Go ahead.
No, Helen, are you LA based as well?
Yeah, I'm LA based. I'm writing on a show that just wrapped and focusing on the podcast and excited to talk about the Oscars.
Same. Congrats about your show.
Thank you.
Now that we have done the Helen way, which is a more informal, vibey thing, I will do the Nico way, which is to say, welcome. You're not going to make it.
Vibey way, wow.
Proof of life, Oscars edition. We're here to talk about the Oscars that are nominated movies that are going to be celebrated on this next Sunday. So we're a little bit a week away from the actual ceremony. What we said was like, okay, why don't we go through like the best movie category, right? Just as a prompt.
Can I just say one thing first? So
yes.
The reason why Nico wants me here probably is because I was a film critic for 10 years.
Wow.
That doesn't necessarily mean anything, but that's why he enjoys my very strong opinions. I don't guarantee that I will be controversial because maybe I'm more mature, and more understanding.
Motherfucker.
Yeah.
more understanding of certain processes. I will say I can admire filmmaking without actually liking what someone's doing.
Same. I'm the same way. I like to take that approach.
But we're going to start with Anora, directed by Sean Baker. We all seen that one because we haven't seen all the movies, right? But this is one that we all seen.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's for Best Picture, which I had a friend text me last night. He is entertained by the fact that I do not want this movie to win Best Picture. And he's like, he sent me like a link to an article, like, see, got another award. And I'm like, okay, and now I have to brace myself for the chance that this might take Best Picture.
I gotta say something because I feel like, knowing your opinion about Anora, I don't remember Guido's, but like knowing your opinion about Anora, I'm not a super fan of Anora, right? There's a lot of problems with it. But last night, Sean Baker won the Spirits Award and he gave a speech. Mm-hmm. And the speech was about how unsustainable the independent film industry is and how directors who are committed to do movies, not as a calling card to do studio movies, but as movies on their own, have all the struggles to be financially viable, because it's very hard to make a movie and then let's say every 3 years get paid by that independent movie, which usually, and he is, among all the filmmakers, he's probably one of the most privileged ones, right? But he is saying, like, even if I had kids, I couldn't afford this life to have a movie every 3 years, live off of it, and just focus on that, as opposed to just, sneaking in a show, sneaking in a studio movie or something like that he probably has offers for. And that speech was so compelling that I was like, oh, I kind of fall in love with him. And like Anora, I was like, Anora's not that bad. Like, he made me see everything from a different light.
Yeah, I'll be happy for him if he wins the movie, for sure.
I have a few. So I met Sean Baker early on in his career when he did Take Out, and he was lovely as a person. I think he still keeps making movies the same way he did, with more budget, more support, so on. I respect that. I have the Guillermo del Toro approach to Sean Baker, which is I love him as a human being. I wish I enjoyed his movies as much as I like him. So, great speech yesterday. I agree with him. I think he's a bit dishonest as a filmmaker. And I think...
Oh, here we go.
No, I mean this saying with all respect for the craft. So his obsession with sex workers, it's been described as he gives voice to this community. I'm like, I don't know. I think he's a bit horny, Like, Anora starts with a shot of 3 asses. And I'm like, is that a statement, or you just wanted to show me female body parts?
I'm on the same page.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, good for him. I don't totally see the appeal of Anora. Like,
no.
why?
No.
Go.
I agree. I don't think he's so much as horny, but so much as a little bit exploitative. Like, I think it's just such a white film about something that's not at all primarily white, I feel like that world is much more diverse, and it was not captured as properly as it could have been.
I feel like it's weird because the movie has a redemption moment for me. It is so many. We mentioned this before. I think it's like 3 movies, right? Like, the movie starts with him with the love story. I thought that was compelling. I thought it was immersive, and then but then, I mean, I acknowledged the exploitation, and I felt weird about that. But then in the middle, it becomes a broad comedy, right? Like a chasing after someone who's not there, and the Russians are dumb and whatever, right? Like a broad comedy approach. But then, not even the third act, but like the very epilogue of the movie, when they're in the car and they have sex, I felt that moment of the movie for me was so interesting, because it was kind of like pure cinema storytelling, that the emotions and the trauma and all the problems of the movie just came through the way that the scene unfolded. It didn't even need a dialogue. Like that ending of that movie, I think that was valuable.
I think he's always been fascinated with communities that are not his own. Throughout his films, you see, it was first the African immigrants in New York, then he did the Chinese community. And he's always managed to be respectful in a way where he's, standing next to the characters. So I think he means well.
He does.
In this case, with the Russian oligarchs, and no one's very smart in the movie. And this, I kind of have an issue with, because I understand the Russian kid is supposed to be obnoxious. And then I understand that the other guy who's really good with his facial expressions, none of them are very bright, I will say. And I do have empathy for all kinds of human beings, but I'm kind of wondering, what is this movie saying about these people, as human beings? Is this really a complex approach to humanity? I didn't really understand what the point was. Even though I will say that I will point out that the whole sequence of her defending herself was very well made. That part in the middle? That was very impressive in terms of rhythm, cadence, timing. But yeah, it's kind of a broad comedy, I agree.
I gotta say, with Rocketman, comparing it with Rocketman, the previous movie, I think this one works better in terms of comedic timing. It just works. And it's a testament of that is that people actually love this movie and have fun with it, because people love that kind of like comedic timing. I think it just simply works, and it's funny, regardless of what you think of it.
There's something about the nature of money and power right now, especially in American society. And the fact that only now we're starting to talk about class issues, because at the end of the day, she might be American and the other guy is Russian, but she can only really connect with someone from her own social group. So I have a feeling Sean Baker wants to say something about class mobility in the US and how difficult it has become, in terms of I don't want to get too political, but in terms of the American dream, it used to be easier to move between scales, and now it's become like the rest of the world. So she is kind of stuck in her social status. But I'm not sure this is really what the movie says. This is what I wanted to see in the movie. But do you guys think any of this is there?
I think that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see more of that exploration of class and seeing how she uses her body as a way of moving up and trying to change, her life. But it got stuck in the middle. It became that broad comedy, and all of that time could have been spent on something more complex. Yeah.
Okay, so we explored Anora. The next one on my list is The Brutalist. We all seen that one too, right?
The one that I want to win Best Picture, yes.
Okay.
Good.
So this is Brady Corbett, the director. He's done Box. I haven't seen anything else from him. Probably either you've seen or you haven't. Box Lux and the childhood of a leader, right? But he's been also an actor, has been on sets he's been on Haneke's set. He's been on Lars von Trier's set. So this guy as a child actor that has been around and known many styles. And now he's like the new epitome of independent director who sacrifices for work. And he's been famous for pushing for the length of this movie to be very long, pushing for the scale of this movie to be ambitious. So I'm curious to think first, what do you think? So Helen, you want this to win? Is this your horse you're betting on?
Yeah, but it's not looking very promising.
Why?
I don't know. I think they're going to give Brady the directing award, but I don't think this is going to win Best Picture. I don't know. It just kind of has fallen flat. It hasn't taken any awards this season, and I'm just like, based on that. But yeah, my personal preference would be for that to take Best Picture because it was an epic, amazing film. But what do you think, Guido?
I'll start by saying that it's one of those movies where I admire the stamina it required to make, and yes, it's pure admiration in that sense, but I didn't connect to it as much as I wanted. And I think part of it has to do, and this is an intuition, I don't think Brady Corbett really cares about the Holocaust. Not that he had, but it's a heavy subject. I think he just wants to be like Kubrick or Christopher Nolan. He wants to be one of these epic filmmakers, and he is, but I don't think he has a real connection with the characters, the backstory. I love the first part. The second part for me is a big mess. Especially, I don't know if we want to spoil it or not. There's a certain narrative.
Fuck it.
You know what I'm saying. That's where I had a big issue with the rape scene. The rape scene, I'm like, this got too literal. He doesn't need to rape. He's already raping him in so many ways that this is, again, exploitation, and it's a big deal because it distracted me from the rest of the movie. Do I respect Corbett? Yeah. Do I admire what he did? Yes. I also feel like the movie is way more conservative than he wants to admit. It's Ayn Rand and the Fountainhead, This is not an ode to a liberal thinking. This is the idea of the traditional genius that saves himself on his own. So I'm reading this politically because, these are Trumpian times, but I have issues with the ideology of the movie.
Is he not Jewish? I don't know his background.
No, I don't. He's not. And as a Jew, I don't have an issue with that personally.
Yeah.
It's just that if any genocide you take into account, if that's just an excuse for your character to be tortured, I kind of have an issue with this.
I get that. I didn't know that.
How did you feel about that, Helen?
I can accept a lot of that the second half was a bit of a mess. Also, I'm just going to say it, that I had this revelation yesterday because I was looking at the nominations. I don't know if Nico told you, but when I watched it, I had taken a gummy before the movie and I had the most amazing film experience of my life. And then yesterday, when I was raving about the sound design, right? Yesterday, and I go to the sound to see if it got nominated because I'm like, oh, obviously it's going to win. Not nominated. It made me think, holy shit, did I just think this movie was amazing because I was high?
Well, listen, there were I know this because I grew up in that scene of rave parties. There were careers of DJs that were made because the batch of ecstasy that night was so good that everybody fell in love with the DJ, and they would admit that their careers were made by drug dealers having a great ecstasy that night. And then you have this experience of the music. And if you listen to that music outside of the context of being high, very hard. I want to say that because everybody piles on the second half of the Brutalist, but I have to say, I was ready, right? Because I heard like the second half is bad, and I go to the bathroom, come back, I'm fresh, I'm sitting down, and then the whole Felicity Jones timeline, plot line of the movie unfolds, and I really like that. I really like that character. I felt that it gave depth and contradictions and conflict to the main character, and it was like he gave voice to that character and was great. I think that was part of the second part of the movie, and I thought that was very valuable. But I agree with you. I think the movie doesn't need the rape. And then the fact that the movie builds towards, spoilers alert, right? The whole movie, this building that he's building is kind of reminiscent of his experience at the Holocaust. That blindsided. I was blindsided by that event. Because like he didn't seem to be too invested in his experience on the Holocaust. I guess is a misdirect, but it didn't feel like he was constructing in that direction. He was really
think that was intentional, though.
It was.
I thought so.
I mean, yeah. I mean, of course, it's a misdirect, right? Like you're not supposed to. He's presenting a character who's not supposed to care about his condition, and then eventually he is about that condition. But if you want to do that, I feel you need to go deeper. Not just. I feel like that was simply seeded in a couple scenes where he was. There's the nephew that I think there's a nephew that wants to go back to Israel, and he's opposed to that because he seems to be a secular person. And so this is surprising when you hear that he was committing his whole life to the experience of the Holocaust. But I felt like that was not enough of an exploration of a character that needed that experience of building this and being remembered for it. And then the very epilogue of the movie, that weird VHS thing in Venice, didn't land it for me. I didn't thought it was moving. I thought it was expository and like boring.
I will say I will be very happy for Adrian Brody when he wins Best Actor, because I do think he's
amazing. Yeah, he's amazing. And the beginning of this movie, I want to say this: the very beginning of the movie, he's on the ship coming to America, and he emerges from the crowd. And that is one of the best, I think, scenes that I've seen in the last 10 years.
The first 10 minutes are perfect. I remember watching those first 10 minutes and thinking, it reminded me of when I first saw The Master by P.T. Anderson. By the way, I think this could have been a P.T. Anderson movie, and I'm a huge fan. So, but those first 10 minutes of him arriving and, him with a prostitute, that whole thing, I was like, I'm so into this. This, I feel like I'm being immersed in the 1940s New York, And I'm going to say something else, praise for Radio Corvette. So when I walked into the movie, the big question I had is, on a $10 million budget, how are you going to build a building for the movie? That sounds like Herzog, Herzog shit. Let's push the ship over the mountain. And the building is there. So that he delivers on that promise. I think I have emotional issues with the movie. I don't, every shot I was thinking, Jesus, this is exhausting. So if he wins, if he wins, I'm happy. I have no issues. Well, I know you've already talked about Emilia Paris, so
let's talk about it briefly.
Because the thing is, there's nothing I
there's no
can
order.
say.
Let's do Emilia Perez. Let's do it.
There's nothing I can say that you guys already haven't said before or other people. You know, when I first experienced it in a theater with the whole crew and the director and the actresses there, I wanted to flee the theater after 15 minutes. I sat there throughout the whole thing. I don't have an issue with musicals. I don't have an issue with the subject matter. It's just the whole thing was preposterous to me. I'm all for seeing that transition. I'm all for musicals. My concern that you know about is like, dude, you're French and this is very Mexican and you're being irresponsible. You know, okay? Carla Sofia Ascon, amazing performance. I'm sorry about what happened with the tweets and all that. I'm not going to add anything to it. Great performance.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's over.
Yep. Summed it up for us.
Okay, so I'm going to go back in the list and go into one that I think I liked, but it was like lukewarm for me. It's a complete unknown. Timothée Chalamet, Monica Barbaro, Edward Norton, right? So James Mangold has done before movies that I really liked, like Ford versus Ferrari. I thought that was very well done,
Great,
very compelling. Walk the Line again with Johnny Cash. Like he's in this movie as well. He knows that, and Logan, right? Like the Marvel movie, whatever that is, like an independent take on Wolverine, right? So this one to me, I thought it was very well directed. I don't think Bob Dylan translate well as a main character. He doesn't have main character energy because he's something of an enigma. You guys probably know more about Bob Dylan than I do. I know that's the figure Bob Dylan, but I don't know his life except for I knew the events of the story and everything, but I don't really know that. I don't have a deep understanding of him. So maybe
I do. As a huge Bob Dylan fan, I love him, and he's also extremely annoying. I've seen him live many times, and the last 2 or 3 times, I was like, dude, I'm not coming back. You're just mumbling. You don't even want to be here. I love you to death. So, I couldn't actually watch it because I'm like, I know Dylan too much. Respect to Timothée Chalamet, but I can't imagine, you know?
So I have so many questions if you know Dylan a lot, because he's presented almost in the spectrum, right? And he's presented almost as someone who becomes the symbol of resistance and political engagement, when actually he is just channeling some sort of godly inspiration that makes him a perfect songwriter without really being involved in the scenes that he pretends to, or no, I wouldn't say pretends to represent, but he actually represents, right? Is that the case? Like, is this guy, this removed from life person who nobody really understands what he's thinking? That nuance I don't have about Dylan.
I think what you're saying is right in the sense that what's most interesting about Dylan is how he's channeling something. And even he said it in many interviews. He said, I don't know what I was doing when I was 20. I can't repeat that. That will never happen again for me. He was channeling something.
Yeah.
He was always very protective about his inner world. I think if you really want to know who he is, have you seen the We Are the World documentary where everyone's recording?
Helen, have you seen that?
Okay.
Tell us about it.
Okay, so when they record Live Aid in the 80s, and this producer gets, and Lionel Richie's involved, and they get everyone together who's someone in the music business, like Michael Jackson. Madonna doesn't want to show up. Prince is also, but there's a lot of big names. Everyone's delighted, and it's of course, a lot of ego, but it's very intimate. And Bob Dylan is uncomfortable throughout the whole thing. And that's when I realized that's who he is. He's very awkward. Some people, it's the same thing with Paul Simon, for example. Paul Simon is brilliant. They asked him many times, what do the lyrics mean? And he's like, I don't know what they mean.
Okay, so I need to watch this because I can't speak to his behavior in this documentary, right? I can only speak to how Timothée Chalamet portrayed him as a narcissist, as an asshole, not as someone who is awkward, just as someone who is an asshole. So, look, I think that I feel bad for the women in his life. I just watched the movie 2 days ago, and I actually really liked it. But wait, I didn't know he did Ford versus Ferrari.
Mangold, yeah, the director.
Which is I love Ford versus Ferrari. I think Mangold is I'm not going to talk about this one. I'm explaining why I haven't seen it because I'm such a ridiculous person that I need to.
I don't think you'd like it.
No, you wouldn't.
The whole story where he broke Joe Abaya's heart is legendary, and you kind of want to kill him. It's like, look at this incredible woman in every possible sense. The famous, I don't know if it's in the movie, the famous line is, you can't be smart and in love at the same time. And he dumped her, and he broke her heart. It's like, it's not, whatever. I would never defend Dylan as a human being. I love all of his songs. I don't know if I want to watch a movie about his life. I want to listen to the songs.
Yeah. The indoor sunglasses, I think, says a lot about.
I am of a generation that wishes that indoor sunglasses were still a thing that men could pull off.
I get it.
You can.
I'm wearing something.
You can't. It's not possible anymore.
People think you're hiding something.
Yeah.
And that's the idea.
Yes, you.
So my next movie on the list is Conclave, and I will say this. So I was born, I don't know if you know this, but I was born in the exact same time. Do you know this, Guido? That I was born in the exact same time that John Paul II was shot while riding his Pope mobile. So
no, I didn't know this.
I came to the war. It was a very tough day for both of us, but he survived. And so I survived too. And so I will watch anything with popes in it. I'm really obsessed with the Pope verse.
Nico, would you be happy if Conclave took Best Picture? Because I think it might. No.
I don't think it's the best picture for me. I mean, I am the audience. I think it's not a big picture. It's not a big movie. I don't know. It's a movie that in a different time would have been like just the movie that you see in the cinemas in the 90s or the 2000s. And right now, because those movies are lost, right? I think that it takes more of a relevant place. And I really enjoyed it. But again, I'm a kind of like a Pope nerd in a way. I love the new Pope, the young Pope with the hot Pope. What his name? Jude Law, right?
Did you like the movie, Guido?
I haven't seen Conclave, by the way. I've seen so many Pope movies and shows. Shout out to the young Pope is my favorite Sorrentino by far. I've been meaning to watch Conclave. It kind of feels like homework. My problem is that someone spoiled the ending of Conclave for me unintentionally. Like, hey, by the end, I'm like, I haven't seen it. You just told me how it ends. So if you guys want to discuss that, I already know.
No, we don't have to discuss it much more in detail. I have nothing to say about it. It was fine.
Okay.
It was fine, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it was fine. So the last movie on the list is Dune Part 2.
Wait, what about I'm Still Here? Is that also nominated for best movie in general or international?
Oh yeah. No, sorry, it keeps going. I'm in the next one on the list is Dune
Part 2.
But we have Emilia Perez will cover it. We have I'm Still Here. I haven't seen it. Nico Voice, I haven't seen it. The Substance, very much of one that I want to discuss.
Can we talk about Wicked. The Substance?
Yeah.
You want to jump to the Substance? Let's do Substance.
No. It's your show. I'm just saying I have a lot to say.
It's really Helen's. It's really Helen's.
It's more interesting than what were we going to talk about?
I don't even know. I'm Still Here. I haven't seen it. So Dune. You don't want to talk about Dune Part 2, the most amazing cinematic event of the year?
It was actually very good. You're right. Let's go back to Dune. I'm like, Nico, go back to Dune. Okay.
No, I don't have much to say about Dune. I'm just teasing you. But I love anything that Villeneuve does. I really love it. I want to, I think male directors, we want to be like Villeneuve. It's big. It's visually stunning. It doesn't have too much dialogue. It's just like, he managed to do Dune without that much. I mean, that's the only thing I'm going to say. I love it. I like the first one better than the second one, but I will take Zendaya writing the weird worms any day. I think that's a good visual.
I loved it. I love the second one actually more than the first. I thought that all of the performances were top notch. Cinematography, holy shit. Holy shit. So good.
Yeah.
It's up for sound design, and I think it's predicted to win.
It's such a big, like, if you hear that in a theater, it's, oh my gosh, it's a cathedral of a movie. And the moments of like the people that are very white and that, the cinematography is like so crazy.
Wait, is Dune up for Best Picture?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you imagine being Denis and having Anora win over fucking Dune? Like, I'd be fucking pissed.
Well, but he did this. Did he win something on the first one?
I don't know.
I don't remember. He was nominated or not.
I don't think so. Well, it's just that it got to a point where all the movies are so dissimilar. Like you shouldn't be. This is the problem with the Oscars or any. It's like Anora and Dune don't belong in the same universe.
No.
What if Wicked takes it?
Wicked could take it, and I would actually be fine with it.
No, I would.
Over Anora.
Oh my God. Let's do Wicked. Let's do Wicked.
It could happen. Didn't they come up with an Oscars like, the audience's favorite movie of the year? Yeah. That's Wicked. I mean, I have nothing against Wicked. It's just, that's the People's Choice Award. I don't know if it's the best movie of the year. Those Dune and Wicked are those kind of movies where all the, costume really shines, cinematography shines. I have nothing against the storytelling. It's just, these are big productions, industrial productions.
I will say something, and I think, Helen, you sent me this video about cinematography on movies, and it was mostly about Wicked. I would say Wicked cinematography sucks.
So bad.
For real. Like, I don't know. I like the actors. I like Cynthia Erivo, especially. I didn't come in with the best of attitudes towards her because it was so ridiculous. Like, they were so ridiculous on the press junkets, but I thought she was amazing. Now, the cinematography feels like a TV Disney show. It feels so bright and uninteresting, so sharp. So like this, I don't know why the world needs to go to a place that is so anti-cinematic. If you compare that to Dune, I think Dune is like a masterclass of what you can do with a blockbuster.
Yeah, well, let's talk cinematography. Who's up for cinematography? Who would you guys?
I don't have that. I don't know who they are. I bet that all of this are. I think The Brutalist is my favorite cinematography. Yeah. I mean, just because Dune 2 does reprise some of the things they've done in the first one, so I wasn't that surprised. So I would put The Brutalist first in this case.
It's like you have Ed Lachman is also nominated. Ed Lachman for I think Maria, is it?
Maria.
Maria is amazing. Yeah.
Ed Lachman. Oh no! There you go. So it's two very different schools, right? Ed Lachman is more of he's a photographer. He works with film and contrast. It's more of a reminiscent of other decades of cinema. And then you have Wicked, it's like looking towards the future. It's a bit like fashion, I try not to be a grumpy old man saying like, kids these days, look how they dress. It's awful. Like, I don't know. It's not my aesthetic. I feel the same way that you do. It's too bright. It's too artificial. I like brain. I like old-fashioned, framing. It's a matter of taste.
Okay, let's do substance.
Okay.
I really want Demi Moore to win the Oscar for Best Actress.
Demi Moore?
I think no one has an issue with Demi Moore winning, right? I strongly dislike the substance, and I'll get into that. But it's not because of the actors.
Wait, you don't like the substance?
No, I loathe the substance, and I'll explain why. Because so far, this hasn't been really controversial, right? We kind of are very polite and getting along about it. Well, yeah, I see your point. No, you know what issue? I'm going to dive right into it. The issues I have with the substance are that I'm going to also use the word dishonest. And so we give Audiard a lot of shit for portraying a world he doesn't really understand. But that's exactly what Coralie Fanchal does with LA. And not that, I'm not going to be the voice, I'm not going to defend LA, but her portrayal of LA is just like that's your very French idea of what LA is like. That's not the real city. So in terms of the performances, it all feels like a very bad sitcom. And I felt she was very condescending with the audience. And unfortunately, a lot of people actually like it. I'm like, dude, I understand the message the very first 5 minutes. So I will acknowledge some of the performances, and makeup is incredible. But I'm like, you French people, go make your little French movies and give me a break.
I'm so sorry, but what the fuck does LA have to do with anything, Guido? The film is not about that. The film is about women. The film is about...
I'm not pushing that. No, wait. Of course, what I'm saying is that message is obvious.
This is my dream, by the way. This is what I wanted to happen the whole time.
You're mad at her the way she depicted LA? Like, what the hell?
No, for her lack of knowledge and representation, and second, lack of subtlety. Like, it's the entire movie is in your face.
The movie is supposed to be subtle.
Give us your take.
I'm so annoyed. The movie is not supposed to be subtle. The movie is not the movie. It doesn't matter if she knows LA or not. That's not the point. There's one point, and the commentary is about how society treats women. A very obvious, we're aware. So yeah, I understand how you think maybe it was condescending for sure, because it was a very well-known subject matter. But I think the way that it approached beauty, I think it did it in a way that we haven't seen on screen before.
I have a question for you.
So I'm not, by the way, it's not like I'm oblivious to the subject matter, because at the end of the day, the substance plays mostly for an audience that already kind of agrees with it. I'm kind of ignoring the subject matter because I think it's pretty obvious, not because I haven't seen, what I meant with LA, and I'm not going to defend LA. I think it's a very French kind of colonial thinking where I'm like, I'm just going to come and tell you how it is. I'm like, you don't know shit about this world. It's the same with the art. It's the same with her and so-called American culture. I thought it was very basic. So the fact that it got best screenplay, I'm like, is this what we were at Cannes of all places? I'm like, we can do better than this. I'm sorry. Titan that won the Palme d'Or is also about female bodies, and it's so much better. That's what I'm trying to say.
I understand that. I understand that. It wasn't like my favorite film of the year. It wasn't like holy shit. But I think it did say something very important, and in the way that it said it, it's a gory horror film in a way. Like it's crazy that it even was considered for the Oscars, because the Oscars they're known for not giving horror movies any sort of attention, and this one kind of broke through. And yeah, I think that the filmmaker was very innovative. I really do like her approach. And I am also curious, what LA is not that deep. What kind of commentary did you want about Los Angeles?
Well, I think this is a whole different conversation between how LA is usually represented. Have you seen Los Angeles Plays Itself, the Tom Anderson documentary, which is I think unrelated to all this? Okay, but I feel like LA takes a lot of shit. And again, I'm not the advocate for LA. It's a real place. And then you have this French director coming along and showing us the most stereotypical version of LA in entertainment, which of course is there.
But that's
what I'm trying to say.
Not about LA at all.
I want to say that I'm in between. I think that is a daring movie. I think that I love that the movie exists because it's such an energy, and it's so brave about tackling things, not in the subject matter, but in the form. I thought the form was daring, and I like that. The fact that there's a movie that is doing that crazy shit on screen and people love it. I want more of that. So I will celebrate that part. Having said that, I felt that at times it became the way that the movie conveyed those issues were a little basic too. The fact that she's been exploited on some sort of exercise show, which doesn't exist anymore, right? And I get it. It's a metaphor of something that existed, But I feel like there are things happening right now that are pressing issues. I'm not going to speak for them because it's not my place, but in terms of how society treats women, and an exercise show is not it. And when a woman gets old on an exercise show, they don't get fired if they're famous. Like,
but
it's really
a metaphor. It's not really an act. It's not really.
But I felt that metaphor wasn't that deep. Then the metaphor of that longing for youth, for beauty, I thought that was then it became more interesting. And the monster that comes out of that, I feel, okay, that's a metaphor that represents those subjects matter in a deeper way. But there were parts of the movie, and they connected maybe to the depiction of LA and the industry. It's like, yeah, well, that industry doesn't exist anymore. We dismantle it, right? So we should take pride on that.
Sorry, what did we dismantle, Nico?
To a certain extent, we dismantle those relationships. We've been working very hard on making, at least trying to alleviate the relationships between those abusive executives and the talent on those shows, right? Like, it's so extreme that it becomes important to represent it in that way on the screen. I feel like that wasn't it lacked nuance, and in a way that other parts of the movie had nuance.
That was the point. I think you guys are missing the point. This movie was supposed to be a exaggerated story, and it was supposed to be just something like not that serious. I don't think she intended to make something that was profound like that and like super, super commentary. But I mean, what were you going to say?
No, but because you're touching on something that's important. That's sometimes movies grow in the festival, in the award circuit, and they end up becoming front runners like Anora. And I don't think Anora intended to be this either. You're right that maybe she just wanted to make a gory, kind of fun, twisted, because it did. I will acknowledge that I was shocked, and I'm not easily shocked by some of the images. I was disgusted. It's not easy to disgust someone. Maybe. Because, there's no arguing that what the movie has to say is relevant, and we don't disregard that. It's just that at this point, I'm wondering how, not the what, but how. How do you portray it? So is the Holocaust an important subject? Of course it is. But at this point, I want to know, how do you broach the subject? I don't disagree with the message she's offering, and Nico and I are probably not the right people to discuss it. I don't like her take on it. It's just like, I'm sure you can go, but maybe it's not meant to be that serious. You're right. Exactly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Helen, I want to ask you about the movie that I feel like I said this before, a movie that echoes with the substance for me, which is A Different Man, which is, I feel like maybe and I'm thinking right now when you are brutally criticizing me for my opinion, I'm feeling like, well, maybe that's because I don't see the nuance on this female portrayal of exploitation, because like The Different Man really reached me, and I was like, oh, maybe that's my substance. Maybe A Different Man is male substance, and that's why I was compelled about it.
It is. A Different Man is the substance. Yes,
we're into something here. So how did you feel about A Different Man? I think it's nominated for something, so we can talk about it. I personally loved it so much.
I thought it was so cool. I think it depicted like male angst that is the topic right now in such a specific, interesting way. I loved it. I thought it was really funny too. It was really funny. And I also just love Sebastian Stan. Like, that man is such an incredible actor. Like, he can pull it off. And I had a lot of sympathy for him. And oh my God, when he starts like picking at his face, holy shit, that was a lot. But
I'm so glad you bring this up. So for those who haven't seen it, it's this person who has tumors in his face, and then at some point he finds the cure, and he starts ripping them off, and that is like a birth. Like, he is birthing himself in a way that is so visceral. And anybody who has like some sort of, and I guess this is everyone who had some sort of discomfort on their own body, who have like a feeling of dysphoria, which I definitely suffer from, not in a very bad way, but in a way that all society suffers from, right? A kind of an uncomfortable feeling that your body should be something that it isn't. And this idea of ripping parts that you don't like off, it's so visceral and it connects so deeply with everybody, I mean, with at least my own experience, that it's crazy. And oh my God, that scene is so amazing.
Are we going to
Have
talk
you seen
about
that movie? I haven't seen it.
I've
A
seen
Real
it.
Pain?
Talk. I'm really interested.
Go, Helen.
I mean, no, I want to hear what you have to say.
No,
about the movie.
I love The Real Pain. It's very simple, very honest. There was a moment in the movie where I was laughing and crying at the same time, and that's a very unusual reaction, meaning that I'm connecting with the characters and also very moved by the circumstances. It's a very generous, like what Jesse Eisenberg does is very generous. Kieran Culkin still steals the movie, but the contrast between the two of them. See, it's a movie. There you go. A movie about the Holocaust. That's not really about the Holocaust. It's an excuse to talk about. Are we really that much in pain nowadays? As much as we complain. So watch it. It's very enjoyable.
Yeah, I think it was a very enjoyable film. Kieran Culkin winning for this, I think I have mixed feelings about. I want to see something else from him. I know I don't know if he has it, actually. I don't know if he can play anything different, but his performance was great. Yeah.
Did we make our predictions?
Nosferatu. No, I think let's talk Nosferatu and then do predictions, because I'm curious to know, Helen, what do you think about it?
I love Nosferatu. People hated it. People hated it,
yeah?
People were like, this is nothing new, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, this is fun for me. I really enjoyed it. I think
it's unfair. It's unfair to hate it. I understand that point, saying, okay, we've seen Dracula and Nosferatu so many times, but there's nothing to really hate. He's done his research, and it's mood. It's all mood. So either you enjoy that mood he offers, like The Northman is also a massive movie. It's not really about the story. It's about being immersed in a period. It's kind of like a nerdy experience. No, I didn't like it either, but the point is...
I love The Witch.
The Witch is probably the most...
I thought it was incredible.
The most successful one. Again, it's another interesting filmmaker that I admire and respect. I'm not really a big fan. The Lighthouse, I like.
Yeah, Lighthouse is... I love it, yeah.
The Lighthouse is campier in a way that I enjoyed. But he's very serious. Don't expect a lot of humor or lightness.
Very solemn, yeah. Okay, so predictions. We're going to go, who wins Best Picture? Not what we want, but what we think it will.
Probably at this point, Anora. Yeah. If it's not Anora, I think there's room for The Brutalist. I'm not entirely sure. It might happen.
I don't think Emilia Perez has any momentum anymore, right? It would have won in a different situation if without the debacle, I think, maybe. Dune is not part of the conversation. Conclave, Complete Unknown. I think it's Brutalist or Anora.
Yeah.
What do you think, Helen?
I agree. Who do you think for Best Actor? Oh, we already said Adrian Brody.
Adrian Brody,
yes. Right?
Best Actress. I don't know. I'm scared about this one. They might give it to Mikey.
She might get it. Actually, she won at the SAG Awards, right?
She's won at mostly all of them, I think.
She's very good, actually.
I love her.
I think she brings in a lot of humanity to the role that I don't think is Sean Baker's. I think it's all her.
Sound design. Dune is predicted to win.
That makes sense.
Incredible.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Production. How do you guys feel about this? Production design. Wicked is predicted to win, and I'm like, I'd give it to Nosferatu, honestly.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
It felt like Wicked felt like a set. I don't know. It felt like it was confined in a set.
Like a fucking, yeah.
They say costume design, Wicked will probably win, and I can see that why. Even though, sometimes they don't, the costumes, I'd love to touch them and see them, because on screen you don't get to appreciate the detail,
Why is Wicked predicted to win makeup? Like, can someone explain that to me? What the hell?
Wicked? Because she's green.
Okay, but
shouldn't the substance?
A different man?
Yeah, exactly.
No, but they can't win that. They can't win that. It will be. I would feel very bad if Wicked gets makeup over the substance.
What else? We've got
best song.
Best song, yeah. I don't know what's up for that.
No, I mean, Wicked has good songs. Emilia Perez has horrible songs.
Well, The Brutalist is actually predicted to win original score.
Score is good.
Wait, is Trent Reznor nominated for Challengers for score?
No, Challengers got snubbed.
Really?
Completely.
Well, guys, that is the gist of it.
Did you like it? Did you have a good experience? I love this.
Me?
Yeah.
I could do this for 10 straight hours.
I love that. I really are. You're both one of my favorite people, so I really enjoy it.
You guys, I just get really heated.
I like that. Wait, I think you should fight more. I think this will really benefit the podcast and everybody who's listening right now.
I will say I thought we would clash way more, and actually, I think the point is explaining your point of view. Not you don't have to convince anyone. It's just, okay, this is what I saw.
Yeah.
Thanks for the invitation. Anytime you want, just let us know.
Happy Oscars.
Happy Oscars. Enjoy. Well, let's discuss after the Oscars.
Yeah. Then we'll really be mad.
Follow up.
All right. Bye, guys.
Awesome.
Bye.